guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial I'll be showing us how to make this drawstring dress. If this is something you're interested in, please keep watching and do not forget to like, subscribe and share. Please subscribe to this channel. So guys, these are the materials we'll be working with. Of course, we have our fabric, our bias, scissors and chalk, tailor's chalk. So guys, let's jump into this tutorial. Come with me guys. So first thing we're going to do now is fold our fabric into two and then impute our shoulder measurement, half length measurement, breast point measurement. Let me go over it again in a proper way. Shoulder measurement, breast point measurement and our half length measurement. So we are going to mark this point. The point for the breast point is 10 inches. The half length is 16 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark this point so that we can now draw a straight line, and then this will enable us place our measurement exactly at this point that we have marked. Okay, so guys, that's what I'm doing over here. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do is take our armhole depth. So if you're an existing subscriber, you should already know we love to use 8 inches. So we're coming down by 8 inches and then we'll go out by half an inch and then draw a curve from half of that 8 inches, which is about 4 inches. I'm now going to make a curve down towards the armhole and give it a perfect curve. So guys, just keep watching. Now the next thing we're going to do is take our neck width. We are using 3.5 inches for the neck width, and then the neck depth we are going to use 2 inches because I don't want the neck of the dress to be so deep. So for the front piece we are using 2 inches depth for the neckline in front. So this is exactly what I am doing. Just go ahead and make a curve to look like a round neckline, obviously. And then this is the chest line and that is the half length. So now I'm going to go ahead and input my measurements for these points with extra 2 inches allowance, please. Additional 2 inches allowance. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the waistline, on that half length. I'm going to go ahead and input my half length measurement and also add the 2 inches extra allowance for it. Then I'll go ahead and draw a curve from the armhole down to the half length. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this so it can look like an actual shirt. So this is the upper part of the dress we are making. Please don't forget that we'll be doing the lower parts later on in the video. So guys, this is what it looks like after we went ahead to input the measurements. And now the next thing we are going to do is cut. We are going to cut along this chalk, these lines showing on the dress. So we're just going to go ahead and cut it out. We have the front piece. This is what the front piece is. So we are going to use this front piece to be cutting the back piece. I'm using my needles to hold this material in place because the fabric is really stretchy and it doesn't stay in place. So I've gone ahead to place the front piece on this extra fabric that has been folded into two, and in front I made sure I left about 2 inches allowance in the front, so meaning the back piece is longer than the front piece. So that 2 inches is serving as our zipper allowance. It is serving as our zipper allowance. That's why we have 2 inches in front. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the neckline for the back piece. So the back piece is actually shorter than the front piece. The back piece, the depth is about 1.5 inches, while the front piece, the depth for the neckline is about 2.5 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead now and then trace this out. Just cut out the fabric, and then that's all. So this is what it looks like, the front and the back piece together. You can see the difference I was talking about in the neckline. So guys, let's move on to the next step. So we'll be using our bias to turn the neckline. Since we are not using a lining for this dress, we are going to use the bias to turn the neckline so we can have a clean finishing. So this is what it looks like now after I turned it. Very neat. So I went ahead to do the same thing I did for this front piece. I repeated the same thing on the back piece. So you can see the neckline on the back piece has also been turned with the bias. So now the next thing we are going to do is join the shoulder and the sides of the front and the back piece. So I'm just going to go ahead now and join it. Then when you join it, you see it will look like an actual dress. Don't forget to close up that point for the zipper allowance while you're joining it. We're going to rip it open when we are inputting our zipper. Now I've gone ahead to join the sides and the shoulder and also close up that zipper allowance. So now it looks like a top, but this is not what we are doing here. This is the upper part of the dress. So the next thing we are going to do now is start cutting our skirts. So for the skirts now, all we have to do is input our waist measurement divided into 2 and add our 2 inches allowance also. And then we are going to take our hip point from the waist point is about 9 inches. Yeah, so we are going to just mark that point and then go ahead to input our hip measurements also. So because this is not going to be exactly a pencil skirt, it's going to be a bit wide underneath it, we are going to make sure we repeat whatever measurement we have on our hip points. We are going to repeat that same measurement underneath the skirt down to the length of that skirt. So I'm just going to go ahead and confirm the measurements I have there and then repeat it downward towards the end of the skirt. So now I'm just going to go ahead to connect the point from the hip point down to the waist point and down to the length of the skirt. Hip point, waist point, down to the length of the skirt, and then I'll cut it out. But before then, I'm just going to go ahead to mark our dart point. So it's not exactly going to be a dart because I'll be splitting that place open, but I'm just going to mark that point and then notch it down. So this is where our ruffle is going to be. At this point I am notching down. That's where our ruffle will be. So now guys, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out for us to see. So this is what the front piece of the skirt looks like after I've gone ahead to cut it. And then this point now where I marked and then I notched is going to serve as the point where our ruffle will be. So we'll be creating 2 casing here later on in the video, but for now let's cut the back piece. Of course, we know we'll just go ahead to make sure there is excess in front, about 2 inches for the zipper at the back, and after we've done that, we'll just go ahead and trace out the remaining parts of the skirts. So guys, this is what the skirt looks like. You can see the difference between the front piece and the back piece is the space in front. So we're just going to go ahead and split the back piece so that our zipper can be able to lap at the back. So guys, now this is the front piece. Remember that point we notched earlier? I'm going to go ahead and move forward by about 2 inches because I want the ruffle to start almost in the middle of the skirt, and then I'm going to now split that place downward, like I'm going to cut that place open. And see, I've gone ahead to split it open. So I'm going to now place that part back on the fabric and close it up by about 1 inch. 1 inch please. I'm going to close it up by about 1 inch and then come back. The excess by the side, I'm going to sew it downward towards the other side of the fabric. I'm going to just illustrate it for us to see here. Now I've gone ahead to stitch it down so you guys can see the excess in front. So here I'm just going to open it up and then stitch it down to the other side. Yes, on the end, stitch the end. You can see now that it already looks like a casing, so I'll stitch it down so that our rope can now pass through this casing. You can see exactly what I was trying to explain earlier. So guys, this is the casing we are using. Now I'm just going to go ahead and join the back and the front piece together, and after doing this, I'll cut out ropes that I'll be using for the casing, for the ruffle rather, and it's going to be about 2 inches wide, and then I'm going to fold it and then stitch and bring back the results for us to see how the rope will look like. So this is what the rope looks like after I went ahead to stitch and turn it. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do is use my safety pin to connect to this rope and then use it to pass through that casing I created earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass this rope in, since this is what we'll be using for the ruffle. Remember to push it out and have excess at the top so that it doesn't fall back in when you're trying to sew. So I'm going to drag and make sure I have enough excess in front, and then take my pin out and do the same thing on the other side of the casing I created. I'm just going to pick the top of this dress and connect it to the lower part of the dress. That's the top of the dress. Connect it down to the skirt of the dress. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew it round and then show us what it looks like after I've done that. So this is what it looks like after I went ahead to join the top and the lower part of the skirt. I actually went ahead to fix one of the sleeve. I forgot I was not going to impute that in the tutorial. So guys, this is the end of our tutorial. Please do not forget to like, subscribe and share. You can see the ruffle on this skirt. It came out exactly as expected. See you guys next time. Bye.